What's going on, everybody? How you doing? I'm live here with Cody Neer. I think that's how you say his last name. I hope I said it right. But actually, I met this guy. Well, let me ask for engagement first. If you're watching us live, hashtag live watching on the replay, hashtag replay. And you guys know how we do it here. We're always moving. So, an object at rest stays at rest. So, unless it's, acted upon by equal and outside force. So we always want to keep moving. So we hashtag ABM to let everybody know, that we will keep moving. But actually, I met Cody at J.R. Revis's event in Atlanta. I think it was around, October or so, somewhere around in there. And he gave a lot of value, dropped a lot of value. And I really, somewhat related to his story because right now, I'm kind of in a transition or whatever. I'm back in the sciences, the background. But actually, I'm going into marketing. I'm doing things, as far as in marketing, trying to grow my agency and all that stuff. So my plans pretty much got sidetracked. So and he'll tell his story, how his plans and everything got sidetracked as well. But I do appreciate him joining us on this Sunday evening prime time. I guess there's no football or anything on, it might be basketball on, but I know he's a big sports fan. So, it's a privilege to have him here, but I'll just go ahead and let him open up with his story and how he got to do, pretty much everything that he did. Well, let me tell you about, he does have an e-commerce brand. And he also owns, he has his agency, has a lot of people in his agency or whatever, social media marketing agency. So, and here's Cody. He can go ahead and open up the floor.
What's up, Mike? Yeah, it's a pleasure meeting you down in Atlanta. I should say up in Atlanta, being in Florida, but you're down in Atlanta because you're in the Carolinas. So, yeah, it was a good event in Atlanta. What I shared in Atlanta was kind of the start of my journey as an entrepreneur. Starts basically with me being a little kid. Obviously, I had a dream. I want to play sports. I want to be a baseball player. So my whole life, that's what I focused on. And as I focused on baseball, I started realizing, school and education was important. So pretty much made that an easy route or an easy thing. So going through school, I never really struggled. I was a straight A student, giving me the ability to focus on my sports. Coming out of high school, I signed with the University of Florida, the Gators. They are, a major powerhouse baseball program. And, so I was, quote unquote, living the dream, right? And after I played college baseball, had a pretty good college career, and I went into professional baseball. Professional baseball seemed to be where the real world really kind of caught up with me, And after a few years of pro ball, I realized, man, it's nothing but a business. And as soon as I was done playing baseball, I had a few things that really deterred my track, right towards the end of my career. One of them being, I think I shared this in Atlanta, was I remember going into like the third or fourth series at the end of my career, and my dad had surgery. And my mom called and said, hey, Dad didn't do too well in surgery. It was supposed to be in and out surgery really easy. And you should probably come home. It doesn't look good. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? So anyways, I had to get on a red-eye flight, fly home, spend a couple weeks down there, missed, a bunch of games. And then going back into baseball, just things were never really the same mentally. It took me a while to get out of that funk. So I ended that season, have a really good off season, going to the next year thinking, hey, I've overcome my hurdles and my trials and tribulations in life, thinking I had figured it out. And next thing you know, I was getting traded, going to this state, that state. Long story short, I ended my vacation of a baseball player. And that's where my entrepreneurship journey started. And much like many people, they don't really know where to go, what to do, who to talk to, what to ask, questions. And that's where I started. The number one thing that I did ask myself was, number one was, how am I going to do it? How long is this going to take? And who can I find out? Who can I learn from? Who am I going to find out how to do this from in the future, right? So the first thing I did was I found that mentor. I found that individual. Much like you, Mike, you have coaches, mentors, and strategies put in front of you by those people. I just basically rode the coattails and figured those things out. I found my little niche. A couple of those little niches were e-commerce. And in this e-commerce niche, I've had some success with building some brands and scaling some e-commerce stores, doing things a little non-traditionally as other people do. And I've come a long way from 2005 to now. Now I have a 20 plus person agency who deals with large brands and e-commerce stores where we focus on directly scaling their e-commerce businesses. And then on the flip side of that, we have roughly, I'd say about 350 e-commerce stores that we manage as an asset. And, there's a lot involved with that. There's a lot of scalability, a lot of hiring, a lot of dealing with systems and foundations and processes and procedures and SOPs. And this is the fun part now. Sometimes people look back and they always regret or whatever, but I feel like we're right in the middle of the fun part. So really enjoying it. But yeah, that's my story. That's where I come to now, e-commerce business owner and an agency.
Well, that's an interesting introduction. I was wondering, how long did it take you? Because obviously I got some new members here in my group. They're just starting out with their agency just as well as I am. I've only been maybe about a year or so, year and a half or so in my agency. But I mean, how quick did it take you to, or how fast did it take you to scale to 300 and 50 stores, agency, 20 employee, because obviously, right now we're the only ones running our agencies pretty much. Well, I have developed a team on the front and the back. Got a call center that's working for me, and then I also have a fulfillment center on the back end. But I mean, it's well, actually, how long did it take you to scale to that amount?
Good question. Most people say it took me 10 years to become a millionaire overnight, right? So the reality is, since the last day I took off my baseball cleats till today, right now, that's how long it took me. So 2009 to 2019, so roughly 10 years wow. to get to that, to where I'm at now. So the reality is, we have an interesting business model. Most brands or agents or e-commerce, brands, they see the success that I share or have shared in person and online, so they approach us, and so we'll get inbound leads and people that come through. We don't work with everybody, obviously, but that's really how we've gotten a core of our clients under the agency. The internal assets that we manage are a part of a portfolio where basically investors can invest into this portfolio, and they get a monthly net return. And that net return is guaranteed to them. So the reality is that's a portfolio business, and there's hundreds of brands underneath it, and it's pretty unique. We do everything, direct response ads through Facebook, Google, Bing, Instagram. We do programmatic ads, the whole 9 yards, and it's unique because we're sourcing products from all over the world and drop shipping them. We have direct relationships with suppliers and vendors, and the team, has grown to, like I said, 20 plus individuals now. We've got strong relationships with our VA team and strong core operations teams and strong paid media teams and strong project management teams, strong vendor relationship teams. So it's all a piece to a really big puzzle, but the e-commerce side of this thing is fun because it's never the same thing every day. So, like I said, answer to your question is, take us 10 years to get here, but it's steadily evolving every day as we go.
Yeah, that's interesting to say that, because I know just watching the development, especially now with everything that's going on with social media, and just watching the development, I guess, of some of the other people that I've interviewed, because everybody pretty much now just starts out solo. So, I mean, it's pretty much different for everybody else. But at what point in your business did you say, I need some help for this? What did you say? I'm going to have. I mean, how many clients did you have? Or at what point, what circumstances from the outside did you say, I'm going to have to, hire a team?
So that's a great question. 2012, part of this journey, I had started I started really getting my hands wrapped around what I was good at. That was direct response, paid traffic through Facebook and Google. And I took a team at Target Corporation. I was in downtown Minneapolis, 22nd floor of the Target building. It was awesome, right? Took a team of about 30 people, and we started running Facebook ads for Target.com, their mobile app, and on their website. One of our missions were to get as many people as we could to download this Cartwheel app. People know Cartwheel, the discount shopping code app for Target. So in that time, I basically I wasn't given it, but on file was a Target Corporation Amex card, and it said, hey, go to work, figure this thing out. And our team basically, we spent $50-something million, $250+ million in gross sales. I think we got the app, we got 50,000 downloads in like the first week. Next thing you know, there's 1 million+ downloads now on that app, probably more now. But anyways, as soon as I finished that, I realized, man, this whole selling stuff online is it's not that hard. And I'm tired of doing it for somebody else. And it was around 2014, 15 that I started what most people know or see is this Bucks of America brand. And that's basically print on demand apparel, hats, decals, shirts. I needed something to sell, right? And I needed something that I could own that no one else could rip off, right? So that's when I started that. It was by myself. I created a screen print and embroidery shop by myself and started to print shirts and embroider hats. And I would try to make the shirt, make the hat, sell it, make the shirt, make the hat, sell it. So I got in this little cycle. I was just doing everything, right? And I realized, man, this isn't going to take me far. So eventually got somebody to help me. Hey, you make the shirts, you make the hats, I'll just go sell them. That one person turned into two turned into three. Next thing you know, our business has expanded to where we were doing really well monthly. And I realized, man, this online business now, if I just focus on this, if I just had more products to sell, then I could, really, the word scale this business. And 2016-ish, 17-ish, I took an opportunity and I sold my screen print embroidery shop and everything. And I partnered with what most people know as Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. And we had an agency, an advertising agency called Quantum Media. There's people, Maxwell Finn was a part of that. And there were some other individuals that came along in that agency that we hired when we built that. During the time of, that agency, Kevin Harrington being the shark, there were so many businesses and so many people that threw their products and threw themselves at, a shark. And that's really where the agency model and my mindset started. That's when I started my first quote unquote agency. Really, all I did was what I already did, but then I started doing for other people under this agency together with Kevin Harrington. We did that for a little over a year and a half. We had some really awesome products. As you can see right up here, it's a Donald Trump $100 bill that's painted, whatever. Not because I care so much about that, but because we started the Trump coin that we sold on ClickFunnels, and we did $5.5 million in about $4.5 million in 5.5 months is what we did. 4.5 and 5 in 5 months. So we killed that thing. It was around the election time, 2016-ish. It was awesome. We learned so much then at that time too. That whole group of individuals are part of that team. So we basically got to the end of like our success there. The election's over. Things are just kind of like getting a stalemate. There's so many people throwing themselves at the shark. So many opportunities that members of that business start saying, "Hey, we're going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this." What ended up happening is that agency basically decided, "Hey, we're going to go our separate ways. We have other things that we want to start pursuing now." Well, during that time of that agency, there was individuals that were hired that I was a part of hiring into the agency. So when that thing kind of folded, these people looked and was like, well, what are we going to do now? Like one of them moved from Miami. He was with Grant Cardone. One of them had moved over from Iron Man, and was running their social media. And they were really smart individuals. What were they going to do? So me being me, I'm just like, well, I'm going to keep doing what I do. Let's do this thing together. You guys join me. Let's rock and roll. And officially became my own agency owner 2017. a little year and a half after with Quantum Media, with Kevin Harrington. And first year, was out there. When you first start an agency or any business, and every business, an e-commerce business, whatever, the good thing is I knew what we were good at. I knew what we could do. I knew the skill sets. We knew, direct response with Facebook ads and Google and Shopify and dropshipping and e-commerce. We had a really good understanding of how to make that money.
Oh, we lost him. I don't know if that's on my end or his end.
Is it me?
Yeah, I don't know who it was. You're back now, so.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's good.
All right, awesome. We're back on?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, cool. Right on. So basically, we all stuck together, created our own agency. That's when we created 727 Digital, 727digital.com. And we scaled our agency, six-figure agency within a year easily. We had our own brands. Next thing you know, business partnerships have arrived and come along. And now I look at it, we have 300 plus e-commerce brands that we manage, dozens that, do six figures. This year, our goal is to do $60+ million in sales. Right now, like I said, 20 plus person team. And, it's just, that's the day to day now is really where we're at with it. So we manage e-commerce, we do e-commerce. And then on the flip side of that, we have our agency where we manage e-commerce and we do e-commerce for other brands and businesses.
Wow, that's interesting that you can keep them separate, because I mean it's just like there's a large mass on this side and a large mass on that side. So that's probably pretty interesting how you can keep them together. And then I have another question as far as there's not necessarily a lot of people. Actually, there is a lot of people getting into the agency side, but there's also still a lot of people that are. Let me put your name back up there. It looks like it went away, but there's also a lot of people that are getting into the e-commerce side as well. Do you think that it is too late to get? I mean, is it too late to actually start a brand new e-commerce store? Or because I mean, a lot of people are saying that that it's too late. The market's already saturated. And I mean, is that a true rumor or is that just a myth?
Absolutely false. Let's put it this way: there's new burger joints popping up left and right that are doing well and being successful. McDonald's has been around forever, and they pretty much conquer fast food, right? Fast food burgers. Amazon is the king of online, product sales, right? The reality is, as retail stores close and as the consumer attitude changes toward how they buy products, the more opportunity arises for people to create their own e-commerce stores. The more brands and the more products that get sold online. The online transactions, as you see, the last 10 years have steadily gone up. And that's going to continue to go up as consumers want to get their products delivered to their houses directly. They don't want to drive somewhere. People start living even further remote off the grid because connectivity from Wi-Fi and the internet allows people to be, outside of a city and still be very connected to the world. So I truly believe that, e-commerce as a whole, we're scratching the surface. I mean, that's such a myth that, you're late to the party or whatever like this. Like, it's so early still that you can still come in this thing and really create a really good mark on this. We're going to see 10, 15, 20 years from now, we're not even going to have remotely touched what's going to happen in the future of online product sales.
Wow. Yeah, that's because a lot of people are saying, yeah, the market's saturated. There's no need to go in here. But looks like we had a few people join us in. My wife is on here. Hey, how you doing, sweetie? And my looks like Michelle is on here. How you doing, Michelle? And Will, and I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. It says, hey guys, it says, quick question. It says, what's the first thing you outsourced when scaling? And I was told to outsource the ad creation and management, but I just feel that people wouldn't do as good on a job. Any insights?
My first thing that I outsourced was my operations, things that are repeatable, that don't take a ongoing skill set evolving. So, for instance, being an advertiser, a direct response advertiser, involves being a really high creative marketer. It involves understanding algorithms and Facebook ads and the changes and whatnot. Those are all things that take a lot of skill set, right? Things that you don't need a truly evolving skill set are your day-to-day operations. For instance, your project management, your designing, your graphic design, your onboarding of your clients. People create systems and processes for these things for a reason. You can even quote unquote outsource using software to help you scale first, right? You don't technically have to get people to do the outsourcing. Your outsourcing can be a software. There's those things that are just foundational from your day to day that will get you more leverage time. So then you can spend your focus on the money making things, which hands down in the agency, what most people do is they get caught up on doing activities that they think are going to help them. But the reality is the only thing that helps you in business is making a sale. You have to go sell something to be in business. So if you're not focused on money making activities, everything else is irrelevant, right? So as a business owner, you got to constantly be looking for the next opportunity, the next sale, the next project, the next whatever it may be, and then get your day-to-day operations and stuff, repeatable task, together. And then everything else kind of falls in place. As long as you're out there selling and pushing something and you have some skills or some, creativity, or you have something of value that somebody else is willing to pay you for, then the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, that's pretty much, I agree with you, as far as that, but I'll say I'm still, trying to scale my agency, pretty much it's just me. And like I said, I have a call center and I have a fulfillment center on the back end. But I know that what I've heard is the things that you should actually do as far as scaling or outsource is pretty much like Cody was saying, I guess the repetitive motion, things that you constantly do, making posts, something like that, something that you pretty much do every day. You can actually outsource that, hire somebody, that is, obviously capable. I mean, actually, I think a couple of people actually just hire, I've heard somebody say they actually hired interns in college, and they actually get college kids close to, if you have a college or something close to in the vicinity of your house or your local area, you can actually outsource and get some people in there. And even like cold calling now, I mean, it's just that, a hassle to cold call. I don't know if you guys know Chad Coterie at Dash Clicks or not, but he helps with my fulfillment on the back end. But he talked about how when he was scaling his agency, he got people to actually, make calls for him, where, all that repetitive, especially the initial cold call, you really, as a business owner, you really don't. I mean, you want to, for me, I want to get in the trenches and do it every now and just to see what it's like. But I mean, constantly doing it every day after day after day. No, you can just outsource that. And then also, I mean, unless you really want, some people get kind of, sketchy and finicky about, outsourcing their fulfillment and their Facebook ads because they really want to be in the back doing the analytics and all that stuff, looking at it, as far as dealing, because it does somewhat deal with the money of your clients and everything. So that's pretty, I mean, it's up to you whether you want to outsource it or not. But the thing is, if you have 20, 30 clients, you're really not going to have time to sit there and look at their Facebook ads or their Google Analytics or anything like that. So it might be something you want to consider doing and just developing systems. I know, actually, I guess Rob Quinn is talking a little bit about systems and how he developed systems. I was wondering, how did you develop your systems? Because I mean, everybody uses the word systems and everything, but I mean, what does it actually mean to you? What is a system to you, and how did you develop all of your systems?
Yeah, absolutely. So systems are key in creating scale, and the way you got to look at it is the only way you create a system is by tracking or documenting the things that you do in your business on a day-to-day, right? So let's just say that you're constantly creating new ads for your business, or you're constantly sending outbound emails, or you're constantly having to fill out documents or a process of onboarding for your clients, right? If you create the process there, the things that you do over and over and over, create the process. What happens is you create the process, then you can hire someone else to come in to do the process, and then you build on top of it. And then you go up to the next task or the next things that you have to do on a day-to-day. You build the processes there, you bring someone in, you have them do the task, and you keep going up. That's technically what the word scaling means, is you build the process, get someone else to do it, you build up. You keep going and going and going and going. And that's the word scale, right? So the first thing I did was I found out what exactly happens when I sell something, when I sell a new client or whatever. How do we want to communicate with them? How are they going to get their reports to them? When are they going to get their reports? And I had to document all those things, and I had to make some concrete foundational decisions to say, okay, they're going to get Friday reports. They're going to get it like this. They're going to get it in this spreadsheet. They're going to get it this way. And then once I figured that out, I can say, okay, individual one, come in and do this for this client, and we're going to do this over and over and over. And that's how I started the scale. We use everything, Google Docs, simple stuff. You can share files and whatnot with your clients. Dropbox, you can share your creative assets in Dropbox, large files, videos, and whatnot. Dropbox is a great tool for that. Trello for project management, Asana, even if you do that, and then your day-to-day communication. So number one, how do I communicate with a 20-plus remote team? We use Slack, and Slack's like critical in our business because we have channels in there for every single store that we own. We have channels for which teams are doing what, and communication channels with our VAs in the Philippines, and then communications between our leadership team. We have the certain weekly meetings set. These aren't all things that just epiphanized, right? Like they didn't just all of a sudden happen. They had to be strategically planned, and that's just basically the day-to-day. Now that there's a process, procedures, channels, flows on processes, SOPs for things, then I can keep focusing forward on the business. And as you'll notice, like Elon Musk is very much an outward-facing, directive for SpaceX and Tesla and what, right? Do you think he turns around and faces into his business very much telling people, you need to do this, you need to, no. He faces outwards, telling them where he wants to go, right? And then he turns around and people say, hey, we're going to go there. And he says, you need to do this, this, and this. Do you think he's back there building, battery-powered cars? No, he's telling his engineers, I want you to build a battery-powered car because we need to go over here where we're not using gas, right? And that's the model where the leader of the agency can take them, is they're basically coming up with things that are just very, very, very large goals. And then they just basically lead the way, telling people that's where we want to go. And then the team has really good processes, procedures, and foundations and systems in place to help them get there. And without those things, the team's going to look around and say, well, how are we going to get there? But as long as there's those things in place, so the leader of the business can continue telling people where they want to go as a team, that's the best. That has been the best thing that's happened for my businesses, is being able to just vision where I want to go and then know I have a team and processes in place behind me to get there.
Yeah, that's interesting you said that, because when you were, I guess, mentioning all that stuff, as far as I could just picture, Elon Musk out front, and I just thought, about, vision. And I guess how important is it for an entrepreneur or, a business owner to have, great vision, and how do you develop vision? So, how do you develop vision, and how important is it?
Okay, so the old saying goes that sales cures all, right? And what most people don't know is that for the first 10 plus years in Tesla, they never made money, right? And they still, to this day, have not made much money. And but the reality is he constantly went back and is getting $100 billion to investors, because he had the vision of what other people could not see. And it was his job not to just create the vision, but it was his job to convince the people behind him of that vision. And that's all that mattered, is he had to convince those investors. He had to convince his team. He had to convince them of his vision, right? So a vision is very much whoever's that visionary, is what they call them. It's their job to maybe to come up with a way to convince. You literally have to convince people of the vision that you have, because a lot of people don't understand that, they were, like, for instance, Elon, he's been very much losing money. He didn't have a clue. A couple years ago, one of the big hurdles in Tesla's business was they had all these cars to deliver So many people had already ordered them, and they didn't have much money to actually go out and say, we're going to start delivering these cars and we're going to explode growth. So what Elon Musk did is he had a vision. He said, you know what, I have to project ourselves that we have so many cars and that we have so much over, so much over of our builds of our cars. So what he did was he literally got his company to drive big trucks full of cars to parking lots out in the middle of big public spots around America. Probably about 400 cars, the reality is. But as you drove by, man, look at all those Teslas over there. There's 20 of them there and 20 of them there in the big city. People saw that and like, man, Tesla's got a bunch of cars. What that did was it showed, man, there's a ton of Teslas out there. More Teslas are more available. So what it do? It had more people go buy more Teslas, spike in sales, right? He had a vision. If I can just show people that we got more cars than we actually do, people think that, they'll go buy it. Well, when they start buying more cars all over the United States, for one, he had a problem then that came up. Again, visionary. He had no way to solve this yet. He said, man, I have no idea how I'm going to get all these cars delivered because we don't have enough money to be delivering cars. We're so far behind on production. How are we going to get these things delivered? One of the individuals who bought a car, he actually said, dude, I love Tesla so much. You know what? I'm retired. I got a truck hauler. I'm going to throw a couple cars on here, man. I'm going to go deliver these cars for you, because I love Tesla so much. Well, Tesla had to say, wait. We can't just let you, strap it on 2 Teslas and go driving away with it, right? So they had to go back to their board meeting and had everything. And epiphany, visionary. What Elon Musk do? He says, hey, I'll create a delivery system through our customers. So now actually, no one knows this. If you don't, then really cool story to learn is that Tesla's cars actually get delivered by their customers. When you buy a Tesla, your car actually gets delivered from another customer. Is that you're talking about visionary? You're talking about buying a car from a company. You thinking it's going to be at a car lot that you think you see a car lot. It's not really from there. Next thing you know, car gets delivered by another guy who owns a Tesla. When he shows up, he's like, man, I'm going to show you all about the car. I got one myself. I've been a customer for a year, whatever. And again, the vision and the visionary just overcome those goals and tell people to go. What happened now? These cars are getting delivered at such a fast rate that you now see freight companies, using other people, using customers to be their delivery, to be their point of sale systems for the customers, whatnot. Again, he created another industry that right there that's booming. Just those 2 things of putting cars out there and then getting customers to deliver them. This all happened in the last year and a half. Elon Musk, in order to be profitable, had to pretty much double the size of his revenue. And since he started those 2 very visionary things, they actually, for the first time ever in 2018, they actually hit their goal of where they had to be at from both cars being built and cars being delivered. For the first time in the history of Tesla ever, and it took them dang near 15 plus years, and so many things that you don't even know are going to happen. That's what visionaries have to do. They have to go and do things that you don't even know are going to happen yet. You think he knew he was going to park cars around the United States to get people to buy them? Do you think he knew he was going to have a crazy customer tell him, yeah, I'll deliver your cars for you? Absolutely not. But he knew, he was the visionary. He knew it would happen. And that's kind of what you got to do in your business. Is you got to just know you're going to do it. And as you go, you got to build and be creative and lead the way. So I went on kind of a tangent there, but the reality is, as a visionary, most of the things that you're going to accomplish, you don't even know how you're going to accomplish them yet. You just know you're going to.
That's interesting. So since we're talking about vision, where do you see, I guess, as far as online, what's the next trend that is actually coming online? I know we talk about, I guess, different goals and visions for, an individual company, what you just mentioned, Elon Musk. But as far as just in general, what do you see the next trend? Because everybody's screaming about, chatbots now. And then obviously there's a lot of people into social media marketing, helping companies with their social media marketing. So where do you see the next trend that is actually coming, online?
Yeah, absolutely. So if about 5 years ago, I foresaw that Facebook groups were going to be a huge deal. I foresaw that you're going to be able to go direct to consumer. What I feel is going to happen is that the consumer is going to become so connected through their social media, through their smart devices, through their platform of email and whatnot, that the trend is actually going to come in your handheld devices. I believe that your handheld device is going to, what was it, 20 plus years ago? teacher used to tell me, you're not going to be able to carry around a calculator in your pocket all day. Well, now we do. And plus I had every single answer to every question in the history of the earth, right? On this little handheld device. I believe that the future in the marketing world has got to come or will come through your mobile device. I thought apps were going to be that. Did they really boom? I'm not sure. I thought, social media is going to be there right now. Social media is on up. Is it going to boom? I'm not quite sure. Facebook seems to be doing well. But the reality is I think the technology or your handheld devices in the future will be what advertising turns to. For instance, your smart home for Google, your Wi-Fi. When you connect to your Wi-Fi, people are going to start doing programmatic ads through your IP addresses. This sounds like far-fetched in the future, but the reality is we're already doing that right now. We do that for our businesses right now. We're doing programmatic ads right now. They're some of the most successful things we do. So that's where I think the trend is going. It's going to be less of people trying to figure it out, and it's going to be more if it's already figured out. You just it's all out there. It's wide open. It's transparent.
Wow, that's an interesting take. I know that let's see, my wife says this is good, and Will says understood. Oh, he understood the answer to the question, so he says thanks. And I guess as far as in your come up, what was your aha moment as far as when did everything just pretty much click? You said
yeah, so I always felt like I had this inner thing as an entrepreneur, right? Number one, I hate being told that I can't do something or that I won't do something. I hate being put in like ceilings on me. I hate it when my wife hugs me for too long sometimes. I just feel constrained, It's crazy because the feeling of constraint is what ties me down. And the feeling that I felt was essentially when I realized, man, I don't have any money, how am I going to buy a car? I can't pay rent. What are we going to do? Those type of things. That feeling of just constraint is what the aha. That was about 2011. I remember dang near the freaking guy that I bought my car from came and was like, hey, we're going to come break up your truck because you owe us money, and those around 2011, those things, just the money, like, oh, come on, money, that's really the aha moment. And the reality was I just felt that constraint. And the one thing I set out to do was I'm going to find out how I'm going to be able to remove the barrier of relying on somebody else or some other thing to make me money or to pay my bills or to make me successful. And that was my aha, that was my change in mindset time when I realized, man, why am I going to get a job working for somebody else, relying on their business to do well so I can get paid? The reality is I can do my own business and I can worry about my own money being made and paying my own bills, that way. So the year was 2011, and the aha moment was basically when I always was looking at somebody else to make sure that I had money or that I could get paid. And that was then when I really started, figuring out social media, figuring out advertising, figuring out marketing, creating my own businesses, and basically doing everything that most people do, Googling and YouTube, and then figuring it out, right?
Yeah, that's what a lot of people do, and that's kind of where I am too. As far as I've actually had that. So ever since pretty much I came out of college, it was like, well, I'm going to need to figure out a way to make money on my own because there's always, I guess, a bit of resistance in me. I think I told this story before the last time, but I remember there was actually I was going to work one day. I don't know if you remember Winn-Dixie. I don't even know if it was. Where exactly are you from?
Yeah, they're still rocking down here in the South. Southeastern Grocers, right out of Jacksonville, Florida. Winn-Dixie.
Yeah. Yep. So that was one of my first jobs, and I actually showed up to work one day and I had shorts, and my manager sent me home, and I just left, and I told my mom and my dad I didn't want to go back, but obviously my daddy was like, you need to go back and finish up your job. You just don't want to quit right there. But I just had had a sense of resistance in me then. It's like, why do I have to do this? Like, why can't I just work? I'm doing my job. I'm going to work. What is it? what does it matter that I have, a specific amount of clothes on? But it's just like, control, man. So that's the way, where I was in that situation. It was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to figure out how to do something, on my own. But I guess even growing up, I mean, when you were little, because a lot of people say, Gary Vee talks about how he was selling lemonade, at a lemonade stand when he was like maybe 6, 7 years old. And I asked James Smiley this same question as far as, do you think entrepreneurs are born or can they be made?
What do you think?
I mean, I think entrepreneurs can be made. I mean, because a lot of people talk, yeah. So I mean,
entrepreneurship is made when you push somebody against the wall. You push them so far back against something to where the only way they can get out of it is if they choose to either go tuck their head and tuck their tail and succumb to the overcome of that feeling, or bash to that wall and figure it out. And that bash into the wall is then becoming an entrepreneur, figuring its life thing out, how they make money. The reality is there's businesses out there. The people who built those businesses have no idea how to even log into Facebook, right? But their business is probably some of the largest brands on the internet. They had to figure that thing out. Do you just give up because you don't, or no, you figure it out, right? And that's what's crazy is that I think entrepreneurs can definitely be built. I do think that there is a time or a feeling or a experience that happens to create them. I think that they're I mean, surely you can create an entrepreneur as a kid, growing up. Parents can tell them, build your own things and do your own things and create your own things. That's awesome. I mean, I wish I had that mindset growing up myself. But, if you can see your parents being entrepreneurs, if you see your friends being entrepreneurs, if you see who's around you being entrepreneurs, I think you can create or mold yourself into that as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I lost you there. I don't know if it's on my end or your end. I know we got a little lag, but yeah, that's what I'm starting to realize now, because I know somebody told me, it was like, yeah, you got to be born to be an entrepreneur, and I was like, man, I don't think that's true at all. There's no way. I mean, it's too much. Too many entrepreneurs now, around that pretty much started, from scratch. I mean, there are actually people that just started from scratch and now they're entrepreneurs. So yeah, let me go ahead and end this, wrap it up. Guys, I mean, if you have any value, if you see any value in it, drop a 1 in the comment box. I know some of you guys are on it live, or if you're watching the replay, just drop a 1 in the box, because Cody is dropping a lot of knowledge and a lot of, values, giving you, reasons or how you can scale your agency, how you can, develop systems for your agency, and also giving you motivation. Just when you get down in the rut, you think you may not have what it takes to be an entrepreneur, but here you have Cody telling you, you do have what it takes to be an entrepreneur. And I guess usually I ask this question last. Some people think it's a laid back question. Some people think, it's kind of a complicated question. It's a thought provoking question, but is that a question? Oh, I put a 1 in there. But can you, if you were to have one superpower, what would it be and why?
My superpower would be understanding people, being able to sense or feel and understand people's feelings in the moment. And the reason being is I already feel like I'm really good at this. I feel like this is my superpower. But if it was like, if I can make it like a 10x where I could just pop in and feel, man, I'm about to figure out what you're feeling right now. So I feel like sales are based on feelings and emotion. I feel like relationships are based on them. Obviously, if you don't have to argue with someone because you know what they're feeling. You can sense the genuine reaction of what they're feeling. And I think the feelings that you can feel from another individual, transactions aren't made, through the computer. They aren't made through cell phones. They aren't made through text message or whatever. They're made through people, right? And it's always driven by an emotion and the feeling that they get, right? So I feel like my superpower would be understanding people's feelings in the moment. So that way I can just get to the point and figure out, man, are we going to do this or not, right? Or, I can apologize right up front to my wife. I know exactly how she was feeling when she was pissed at me, right? it would make things a lot easier, right? So that would be the sweetest, coolest superpower in my mind.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. I know there's a saying that says, I'm pretty sure you heard it before, as far as, if you can make them laugh, you can make them buy. So, I mean, obviously laughter is, an emotion, it's pretty much a feeling. So therefore, you're not really buying, necessarily the product, but you're
Yep.
buying, you're paying into to the emotion. So, how can people reach out to you, Cody? If they want to get in touch with you or anything like that, you got a website you want to drop, or you can just send me the link and I'll put it in the comments once the interview is over.
Yeah, so I have a mentorship group. It's free to join. E-commerce Brand Academy. I share my life. I share what my wife and I are doing. I've got a public Facebook page. As you'll see it, Cody Near the Entrepreneur. I put it on there because I've hit a max of friends on my personal Facebook page. But you can follow there. I literally share Facebook lives, and I do my stories there. How I live, questions, thoughts, reactions, current news, how I run the business, my hurdles, my challenges, and even some of my successes there. E-commerce Brand Academy is the group. I have like I said, I have my Facebook page that you can follow along. And then our website, 727digital.com, is our agency.
All right, so you just heard it there from Cody. Thank you for joining me. And then you guys, if you have any questions, other questions, you can drop them in the comment box or just reach out to Cody yourself, join one of his groups, one of his connections, one of his outlets, get in touch with him. And I'm sure he will be more than happy to answer your question. Because obviously, I met him at JR's conference and I just made a comment. Actually, somebody else said, he's a real nice, down there person. And I pretty much agreed with him. I mean, it really is. You think, a lot of times, these entrepreneurs or, millionaires, I'm not saying you're me, I don't know how much, what you got in your bank account, but I mean, I know obviously you're making a lot of money if you have 350 companies in your agency, e-commerce brands and everything like that. But a lot of people think, rich and successful and wealthy people are, just rude and arrogant and all this stuff. But I mean, you have it here. And pretty much most of the people, and Cody fits in that boat as well. The people that I asked to interview, they're more than, genuine, and they're more than willing and helpful to come on here and give you guys some knowledge. And actually, they want you to succeed. I mean, they want you to be up there with them. And I know some of them, want actually to push you up over them. So, I mean, that's always a good sign of a good leader. So obviously, we understand that Cody is a good leader. So I appreciate you coming on here. And thanks for all the wisdom, information, knowledge that you dropped.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Appreciate you, bud.
All right, you guys have a good one, and we'll see you on the next time. And always hashtag ABM, always be moving. Have a good one, and we'll see you the next one. All right.